essentially, and it grows in a certain area, and it comes across as a lump. And I will tell you that we see lipomas left, right, and center at my clinic, and a large percentage of them are overweight dogs. I'll get a few skinny dogs that have these lipomas, but usually they're very overweight dogs.
See, because Romeo's not overweight. I don't think he's overweight at all.
No.
Maybe, if anything, 5 pounds.
For a retriever, he's actually in pretty good shape, relatively speaking. Yeah. But that's, retrievers are classic. Some of the little guys, we sometimes get little Dachshunds come in. Pugs like to put on weight. Yeah. Sometimes even little Chihuahuas can put on weight. And the other big dogs, a lot of the Spaniels I find can get, and a lot of the hound dogs, like Beagles, are very prone to obesity.
Oh.
Actually, the two main breeds that are genetically prone to obesity are Retrievers and Beagles.
So why are dogs overweight in general?
Well, it's we talked about it already. Lack of exercise, diet's a huge factor. I mean, I think for me, we were talking to Tony, and he's right. Exercise is important, but you can exercise all you want. You're feeding the kind of diets that we're feeding our dogs today, especially stuff that you can get at the supermarket, which is a lot of fillers, a lot of fats. They taste great. People come to me, it drives me crazy, and they say they're on this supermarket food, and I tell them it's good for them, and they look at me and say, "But he loves it," and I you just want to cringe, and I'm thinking, well, let's think about candy floss and fudge and chocolate and ice cream. I mean, obviously, everything we like to eat tastes good. So, the more fat in it, the better it tastes. So we have to actually not feed our dogs really fatty foods, because then it's tough to get them off of it. It's no different than a human diet.
It's like eating Big Macs and saying, "Hey, I'm going to work out now at the gym." It's like,
no, and it's like saying, by the way, after eating Big Macs for 5 years in a row, let's start going and eating broccoli. I mean, I'm sure Tony runs into that problem all the time. It's difficult once a dog is used to eating
a certain
cheap,
food,
junky supermarket foods that are loaded with fat.
I actually like broccoli.
Do you? Good.
Yeah, so broccoli with cheese, though.
Yeah.
Broccoli cheese.
Yeah, well,
I call it brock cheese.
What's interesting is that a really common problem that we see is a lot of dogs will come in overweight, and going on to the causes of dogs being overweight, it's not necessarily what they eat. It's not even necessarily what they exercise. I've had a few people that come in, they're very frustrated because they feed their dog portions and they feed them low-calorie food, and they exercise their dog regularly, and the dog's gaining weight left, right, and center. And that's why it's important when your dog's overweight to take them to a veterinarian so they can do certain tests to test for the most common disease I see in dogs. Well, not common, the most common, but one of the common diseases, and that's hypothyroidism. My golden retriever was hypothyroid.
Really?
Yeah. That's a very common cause of obesity, where there's no, it has nothing to do with food, nothing to do with exercise. My dog just all of a sudden gained weight, and that was it.
Now, I want to ask you, what can owners do, obviously, to prevent this and to get to this, right? I mean, as an owner of a dog, I want to make sure that I have the ability to go out there and to do stuff.
You know what? I think this is a point where maybe we should call on my daughter and ask her, because Dexter's a little chunky. So, can we get Abby on the mic? And let's see if we can ask Abby. Abby, if you had an overweight dog, what would you do to try and make him lose weight?
I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think would be a good way to lose weight?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, let's say you're a person and you're overweight. What do you think you could do to lose weight?
I don't know, run.
Okay, that's good. Exercise, that's good. So that's one thing. And what about feeding? What would we want to do with Dexter to make sure he doesn't get fat?
Just don't put food in the bowl. Just put it upstairs for Karee.
Oh yeah, that's the other dog. Yeah, and Karee is really skinny, right? Yeah. So it'd be really nice if Dexter didn't steal Karee's food, right? It's kind of tough when you have two dogs. That's one thing I do find when you have two animals. It's hard, right, Abby? I mean, it's kind of hard to have one of them's eating and the other one pushes the other. Dexter likes to push our other dog away, so that's why Dexter's a little chunky and Karee's really skinny, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Abby. I love that voice.
Very cute. Very cute. Now, other positive things, once again, an action plan. Once again, the phone number for the program is 416-785-0680. Still got some stuff to give away. A couple of Italian people on the
Before we
today.
go through what the action plan for getting obese dogs, let's talk about some of the things that obese dogs can get in terms of health problems.
Tell me.
What do you think? What would one of them be?
I would think, in general, obviously, something...
as they get older,
joint issues.
Right.
Obviously,
that's number one.
Okay,
yeah.
So joint issues, because you're carrying around a lot,
right.
And
by the way, I've had in the last
liver
month,
problems.
Yep, liver problems they do. Yep.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of all the issues that I have right now. Liver, joint, shortness of breath.
Yeah, respiratory problems.
Yeah.
Heart problems.
Hope not yet. No, coffee addiction. I don't know. Tell me some more.
So, a lot of dogs are prone, believe it or not, when you're overweight, you're actually prone to cancers.
Oh.
Yeah, that's another one.
Diabetes.
Diabetes, that's the big guy. That's the one I was waiting for you to say. That is the number one disease that we see in overweight. And I've never in my career diagnosed diabetes in a underweight. Like, they're always fat. Every one of them. Dogs, cats. Unless, people have different forms of diabetes than dogs do. They have type 1 and type 2, and the type 1 you're sort of born with. Dogs typically get type 2, so they're always older, they're always really overweight. Same thing with cats. And so that's actually a really common one. That's one scary for me.
Before we take our last break, there's an action plan that I wrote out here for pets and for pet owners. Not for pets, because they don't understand what I'm saying right now. Unless I go, oh, yeah. Does your dad ever do that to the dog?
No, but Abby does, right?
Abby says you do it all the time.
Oh, I do? Okay.
No? Okay, well. Action plan for your dog and for your pets when you're getting on some of these plans that Mike suggested over here, Dr. Mike. Think positively. Weight loss requires common sense and commitment. We all lack some common sense, but try to get some. Set realistic targets. Just like people, when you go to try to lose weight loss should be done gradually and healthy, but continuously. Work closely with your veterinarian. Very important, no matter where you are. Get in touch with your vet. Ask them what you're going to do. Be honest about your feeding habits towards your animals. Because if you're going to lie about it, it really won't work. This is like all stuff that I wrote. This is all stuff that I can say for myself when you go to a gym, right? And that's why it's so funny when you think how alike these two things are. It really is.
But is it not true that humans are very similar with
their
pets about denial? I mean, that's one thing.
Big time
denial. That's the biggest thing I see.
Big time. Keep food and exercise and keep food and make diaries. That's a big thing over here. Keep a diary of all your food and your activity that you
that helps. I mean, if someone comes into me and says, look, my dog is gaining weight and he's eating a cup and a half a day. Well, guess what? We know he's eating a cup and a half a day if they're being honest, and then we can we know how to lower it. If they just say, well, I just put food down, we have no idea what they're taking in.
Get the family involved. Educate them on what to do. So so some people in the family may, 5 out of 4 may be like, yeah, we're doing it. But that one person, like my dad, be like, here's pizza, Romeo, and it ruined the whole thing for my dog.
Just stop here. You know what my favorite thing to do is? I typically have the wives bring the dog in, and it's usually the husband at home feeding hot dogs and all that stuff. And I literally tell them to blame it on me. I say, just go home and say the vet literally was red and he was angry, and so I find that sometimes that works. The wife goes home and says, oh boy, the vet, he was mad. He said this is really bad and he's going to get this and that and this, and so it takes the onus off the wife and puts the blame on me, which I'm perfectly fine with.
He called me fat too.
I want to make sure the dog loses weight, so I do whatever I can to make sure that the person at home that's feeding him a lot feels a little guilty anyway.
Implement lifestyle changes gradually. Over-exercising your animal can lead to injury, so you don't want to do that. Same thing as a person. You don't want to, if you haven't run in 2 years and you go running, you're going to start throwing up, falling over the place, hitting people.
Well, that's the joint problems. You know what? I've had dogs who are overweight, and people finally decide they're going to do something. So they take the dog out for a 1.5 mile run, and the dog comes to me the next day and can hardly walk, and he's dead lame. Yeah. And, I say to them, listen, you just overdid it. I mean, good intentions, but it's really difficult when they go crazy with exercise when they have all that weight on their joints.
And finally, stick to your regime. Don't be cruel by changing dietary habits. Your pet's health is at stake. So whatever you're going to do it right. Consult your local veterinarian. They will have a ton of stuff and will help you guide your way to getting your Fido or your cat back to a good, healthy shape. And that's on the line with us right now, Nicola.
Hello.
How are you, darling?
Hey, Nicola. Well, and how are you?
Not too bad. Did you miss me last week?
I was pining for days.
I was going to say you were crying on the phone with me.
I was. I was depressed, I swear to God, for at least 72 hours.
Well, thank you. Which leads to drinking. Bunge drinking. I like that. Abby sitting over here beside us saying she's shaking her head knowing I have no idea what they're talking about, but that's okay.
Can I tell you, Nicola, my daughter does this great angry cat sound. She does it to me all the time when I really get her upset. So I want her to do it now. Go ahead, Abs.
Okay, go ahead.
There There you go. That's her
that's
angry cat sound.
good.
Yeah, not bad, eh?
Like, I'm putting on my gauntlets right now. I feel like I'm about to be attacked.
Why is she sitting beside me? She's scaring me. No! She's got a big smile on her face.